And now, coming to you live from Huntsville Attic Studios, it's Pop Culture Philosophers. And here are your hosts, Rockin, Robbie, Billups, and John Hammertime Holshoe.
Hey everybody, it's the Pop Culture Philosophers, coming to you live from the Huntsville Attic. Actually, this is Huntsville Attic, 3.0? It's a little bit smaller, but leaner and faster like a bullet train. Super excited to be back to the show. It's been a while since we've done a podcast, so welcome back, everybody. Excited for the show. Today, we're going to be talking about superhero movies. We did a DC, we did a Marvel. Today, we're going to talk about superheroes across the board. And there's been some big changes, been some big releases since the last superhero podcast. I'm really excited to be on the show, to be here for everybody. My name is John Hammertime Holshoe. With me always, the peanut butter to my jelly, the Robin to my Batman, Rockin' Robbie Billups.
You know, if my name wasn't Robbie, a.k.a. Robin, I would be offended by that. Also, I want to know what flavor jelly are you?
Wait a minute.
Because
I'm jelly.
You said I was the peanut butter to your jelly.
Yes, so, I'm actually apple butter.
Okay, I can deal with that, but why use peanut butter and apple butter?
Oh, that's true.
Apple butter. You trying to say you're good enough on your own? You don't need us? Is that what you're trying to say? I agree. Anyway. You're strawberry. You're always strawberry to me, man.
Strawberry jam. Strawberry preserve is actually my favorite.
Yeah, me too. Right? And it's jelly's actually gross. Anyway, I digress because we're not talking about superheroes. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups. Hey, we're back to podcasting. It's been almost a year, John, and I'm super excited. And this is like Huntsville Attic 8.0.
Oh, I couldn't remember.
Or something like that. It's
there's been a lot.
It's been a few. This is the first podcast here in this location, which we've been filming the YouTube videos at for the last almost year. And I'm happy to have you guys, and I'm glad that I was able to carve out enough room for this. With us tonight to talk about superhero movies, we've got Justin Goldsmith, as usual.
Hey, everybody.
Man, you got a nice, rich, deep voice.
Well, thank you.
You're also quite Frankenweenie tanned right now, meaning that Justin's been on the lake all weekend, and he is, or the river.
The river.
And he is completely pink right now, but you're not going to be able to tell that.
Yeah, I know.
You're also wearing sunglasses.
It's been,
and no pants.
Sunglasses here.
And
I'll
no
put them back
pants.
on. It's been a fantastic. Yeah, no, fuck pants.
You excited to talk about superhero movies, Justin?
I'm super excited for this podcast.
Heck yeah. Also, we have Drew Madsen.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing fantastic, Drew. You excited to talk? You're excited to talk about superhero movies?
Yeah, I've done absolutely nothing this weekend except to watch older animated movies. I've been having a blast.
And, of course, we had Avengers Endgame released this weekend, so maybe we'll be talking a little bit about that either here or the after hours, so let's get into it.
Endgame? There's a new Marvel film? That I must have missed that.
No, that was Sherlock Holmes Endgame.
There must have been, you think there would have been some talk about it. I didn't see any advertisements or packages on Jell-O, and talk about marketing, literally like Jell-O with everything. Everything's Avengers. Yeah, so we'll talk about Endgame, but superhero movies are the big to-do right now. And it really started with The Mark of Zorro in the 20s. There's, of course, the serials, but as far as standalone films, Mark of Zorro was in the 20s.
You talking about cornflakes?
Serial? Damn it. Well, let's just throw this podcast away and start. And then if you want to go with actual superpowers, I guess, you would talk about The Shadow, which is in 1937, which, of course, based on the old radio show and the comics. And the first mainstream accessible superhero film was Superman in 1978, which to me, that changed my life as a kid, man. When I saw Superman, visually, what a treat, when it was released. Mind you, I wasn't born then. I saw it later, just for the record. I'm old, but not that old. The sequels weren't as popular. I think the next big superhero film was Batman in 89 with Michael Keaton. Sir Michael Keaton, as I call him. He was never knighted. He's not British. Marvel didn't quite enjoy the same success as DC until the licensing to Sony and Fox. Fox released X-Men in 2000. Spider-Man was released by Sony in 2002. And then often overlooked was the first real successful Marvel property was Blade, released by New Line in 1998. And that was actually packaged and licensed by a little thing called Marvel Studios. Maybe you guys heard of them?
Yeah.
But Marvel Studios' first actual produced film was Iron Man in 2008. And that actually kicked off the MCU. The Hulk movie was actually part of the MCU, technically, but the first standalone produced movie was Iron Man. And the Marvel Universe has done pretty well since
reasonably.
Then. Besides DC, you've also had other releases by other companies. You see people now releasing films of smaller properties like Hellboy and what was the the Kingsman and stuff like that. You're starting to see
Yes,
other comic
Kick-Ass.
properties, Kick-Ass, stuff that normally wouldn't be in the mainstream because these superhero movies have picked up.
There was
And,
also that Russian movie with the
bear. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big Hero 6 is one too.
Yeah.
So they've really, we're kind of in the mainstay of the big superhero film here. So you've got the original era of the classics, and then you've got the big superhero movies, and when Superman came out, and then you've kind of got this birth of the MCU. So I'm wondering, you guys, if you can pick an era, like what would be your favorite, Drew? Like, do you like the current era? Do you like the start of the big superhero films?
Yeah,
You like the old school stuff?
The current era, I think it's just better. Like overall, one, you get to see more stories that you never thought you would see before, and then you get to see them a whole lot more often.
Yeah. And you've got that cohesion,
Yeah,
which Marvel really started. DC has tried it, maybe not as successfully,
they tripped into it.
but DC's had some great successful films as of late. I mean, they've
Yeah.
corrected the ship.
Hopefully, not going to.
Robbie, what's your favorite era of superhero films?
I mean, I want to say the 90s, but I mean, it's this current era. It's like the post Iron Man MCU era. I mean, we're spoiled. When we're doing when I was thinking about my top 5 that we're going to be talking about later on, like I was like, this changed so much over just the last 5 years, and we've had this blossom, whoa, of superhero movies. Over the last 10 years because of the MCU, and it's really flourished, and some of the superhero movies of the last 10 years are better than all of the superhero movies before, At least to me.
Yeah. Goldsmith, what do you think? What do you think about this era? I know you're big. I think you might be biased, because I know you're a big Robert Downey Jr. fan.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, when you think about it, there's only really for real, there's 3 what did you just say?
Eras.
Eras.
I would say
3 eras,
I
yeah.
would say the original, and you've got the late 70s, 80s, and you've got the new. That's probably kind of the 3.
Let's just put it to the point. You got the MCU era. You got the Tim Burton era in the early 90s, mid 90s, and then all other times.
Well, the Richard Donner era, but even before that, when you had Batman 66 and the serials and the Mark of Zorro and stuff like that.
Yeah, I suppose that's true too.
Well, in the early 2000s had their era too, with those properties, those licensed properties.
With the Fox
did
and stuff.
Save,
Yeah, okay, I see
did
that,
save
yeah.
Little Marvel, by the way.
Yeah,
I
Blade
see
and
that.
X-Men, and Spider-Man led into...
Yeah.
They weren't as
Okay, yeah, there's a
consistently
few
good.
more. Yeah, I'm wrong there. But
Popular,
the
though.
MCU is definitely the best era of comic book movies.
What about you, John?
I would really say current, because really, even though I'm going to say that some of my films are the earlier comic book films, but I really do like the cohesiveness of these characters and the stories. And it does hurt though if you skip a film, and I've done this. I didn't see the last Thor film before I saw Infinity War. Now I have since, but because it just leads right out. I mean, it literally doesn't seem like it stops, and it's great, by the way. It's hilarious. I forget what's the rock guy's name, because he's awesome.
Korg.
Yeah, so
And that's the director. Yeah.
yeah,
Taiki Waititi, yeah.
but it definitely that's my only complaint is there's, if you've missed one, there's some cohesion there, and it also shows it's just jarring. Or especially, I went and saw Iron Man 3 shortly before I saw Avengers, and I didn't know about the incident of him being sucked up into the wormhole or whatever. So, and then I saw Avengers shortly after
You
that.
saw Iron Man 3 before you saw Avengers?
Yes.
Well, you screwed
That's
up, man.
wild.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy, but
You gotta watch them in order.
It throws you off kilter if you skip one. That's my only complaint, is I like standalone films.
That's the best part about it, though.
Yeah.
So I always loved, when we were growing up, we watched TV shows, and when they had crossovers and spin-offs and stuff like that, and you have the same characters in multiple TV
Oh, yeah,
shows.
Green Hornet on Batman.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was probably one of the big first superhero crossovers.
But
Yeah,
that
it was
was
a big
like that was like one of my favorite things growing up, was all these different I think that's one of the things that made me get into Star Trek so much. They had all these characters that were in all these different shows and movies.
Yeah, all those shows in the 90s crossed over at some
Yeah.
point, form or another, right? And I get what you're saying about how Thor Ragnarok is more important to watch before Infinity War than Batman was to watch before Batman Returns. Those were movies that worked on their own.
Yeah.
And Infinity War, you'd be like, whoa, what happened to Thor? You know what I'm saying? And if you don't watch Infinity War, you're going to be really confused about Thor in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's some great eras of comic book movies there, and it seems like we just are all in agreement that it's the current era where we absolutely just have the best. I mean, there's so much diversity. They're all different. They're all unique. They all speak to so many different types of people. Like the movies now are so much more impressive than they ever have been. I mean, as much as I love the comic book movies and superhero movies of the 90s, I mean, they suck for the most part, you know?
We've also gotten to a point where you can tell these visual stories that you couldn't before, or if you could, there was some things you had to skimp on. I mean, I remember being blown away by Superman from 1978 visually, and you look back at it, and there's parts that are okay, and some stuff looks really good.
Oh, absolutely.
But there was some limitations. Even if they tried some trickery, there were still some limitations that they can get away with that they don't have. They're not no restrictions now.
That's why I always like my lists and everything just tend to be skewed towards the animation and animated movies, because that's what it was like. They could do so much more. They weren't as limited. I mean, 90s sure limited, but if you look at like a 90s Spider-Man episode and then go to Into the Spider-Verse, like, it's mind-blowing.
You know, you can't have a superhero movie without a superhero. So some of the best, I mean, what are your favorite superheroes in these films? The absolute best heroes, the best portrayals by certain actors or anything like that? I want to start with Justin. What do you think, man?
You're asking me about the portrayals of the superheroes?
Who are your favorite heroes? And I think that part of who your favorite cinematic superheroes are going to be are part of who was, you know, acting behind that.
Yeah, who's your favorite on the big screen?
Well, you guys know that I don't read very many comic books.
Well, you're illiterate, so that's probably part of it. But there's so many pictures.
Well, I will say when the Iron Man movie came out in 2008, it really legitimately changed my life. And he's definitely my favorite superhero in the MCU. And he's everything that I have read from the comic books. He's a spot-on portrayal of Tony Stark.
is spot on. Before he was even, like, as soon as he was cast, it was, like, perfect.
That's the guy.
Great casting. Yeah.
Anybody else? Justin? I told you in the rundown you can list up to 3. You just chose one?
Well,
they don't matter.
My favorite Batman is, despite what anybody else says,
Michael Keaton. I agree with you. Let's move on.
Are you going to say George Clooney?
No.
You're going to say
Care to guess?
Val Kilmer?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's the first Batman to kick, I think.
He's my favorite.
Just kidding. Keaton kicks somewhere in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
He's my
no,
favorite.
he doesn't, Batman. Damn it.
Val Kilmer's my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Okay, I can dig that.
Yeah.
He wore glasses.
Yeah.
The only Bruce Wayne to wear glasses.
Yeah. He's doing the Superman thing.
Okay.
He's my favorite
I can dig that.
Iceman.
What about you, John?
I would say I like, if we're going back, Keaton is Batman. I know that it skews from the comic. Characters that really surprise me. I would say, as far as the Marvel Universe goes, my favorite character is X-Men, or the X-Men characters, period.
X-Men is my favorite character as well.
So when the Marvel Universe started...
Nate Gray is dope.
Yeah. When the Marvel Universe started, they said, oh, well, RDJ is going to play Iron Man. I'm like, I can see that. I think he does a good job. What called me off guard is like, well, Chris Evans is going to play Captain America. And I was like, well, he was just Human Torch.
Yeah.
And I like Chris Evans, but I still don't see him as Captain America. Well, first off, he's fucking awesome.
You still don't see him?
No, I didn't initially. First off, he's awesome in it. And secondly, there was a Captain America was now a superhero I was never a big fan of. I didn't dislike him. But again, I didn't like him as much as other Marvel characters.
Yeah.
But my mind changed because he does such a good job and he's such an awesome character. And man, Winter Soldier blew me away. Literally, that's one of those movies that I just, holy shit, man. And so I think he does a fantastic job. And despite the movie being a little on the weak side, in my opinion, I'm really impressed by Doctor Strange. He does what's the actor's name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I think he's an awesome Doctor Strange. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So good.
So I was so excited to see him reprise the role.
I'm really surprised you didn't say Paul Rudd.
I do love Paul Rudd, but I've always loved Paul Rudd.
But
I am surprised that he was cast as a superhero at all. He does a fantastic job. But of course, how could you not expect him to do a fantastic? He's Paul Rudd.
He's great I think he's great in every movie, you know, that he's been in 4 so far. Right? Yeah. And yeah, because he was not in Infinity War. And
I tell you what, this is kind of spoilers for Endgame, but I was really surprised at how when they sent him back in time and he, oh no, not Endgame, Ant-Man vs. Wasp, when they sent him back in time and he kept coming back at different points in his life. he actually looked different as a baby.
That was
and as an
Endgame.
elderly
That was
person.
Endgame.
It was
my
in
man.
game. Yeah, I watched all.
That's what
I
happens when
watched
you
them
watch all
both in
three.
the same game. Yeah, the same day.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. or Iron Man, Tony Stark's like, oh, did he come back as a baby? He says, you make that mistake? Like, yes.
But no, it's funny that he came back as a baby and an adult and all that shit, and he looked all different each time.
Somebody
He should've
went to
looked
the bathroom
same.
in my in my suit.
What about you, Drew?
I just have three. I mean, Spider-Man. He is his own franchise for Marvel, like even before the MCU. So anything that Spider-Man, he's like, yeah, he's an all-time character. And that's
The
what,
only one that Sony wanted, by the way, when Marvel went to Sony, they're like, we want Spider-Man, but we don't give a shit about these other characters.
yeah, and that's why like the Sony Into the Spider-Verse movie was incredible. They
It
didn't
is
even
phenomenal.
Have, they didn't-
Visually, holy crap.
Yeah, and they just didn't even need to use Peter Parker for most of the movie. They just used Miles, and guess what? Spider-Man's still awesome. That's why it's like all versions of Spider-Man work, and even Nick Cage is Spider-Man Noir.
I was surprised how great that was.
I don't think the Andrew Garfield one works.
No, okay, yeah, not quite. No, and then Captain America, just
Yeah, Evans is amazing, dude.
yeah, everything. Like it's like I think he has the most solid run of all of the solo movies in the MCU.
What do you think about his butt?
It's America's ass. But no, I mean,
I love how that tickles John.
I bet it would. No, and like of in like Endgame, he has like the most iconic moments to me. He's like he can do this all day. He's like he's always going to be standing up. And he's like he finally gets. I assume we're talking some spoilers on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's the only one in that universe worthy of holding Mjolnir, other than Thor, and and then after Captain America, I mean this is mainly a chalk list, clearly, but Batman. Justin can't vape.
Which Batman?
For me, my Batman is Kevin Conroy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man,
Animated
that's
series.
cheating. Come on.
No, it's Mask of the Phantasm, dude, and
Yeah.
anything that he shows up in, he's incredible. And
Yeah,
then-
what a voice. Holy crap.
yeah.
You just made me want to change one of my answers.
I'm telling you, like I rewatched Mask of the Phantasm today, and I was like, yep, this is incredible. Yep.
Absolutely. For the ones I'm going to pick, I will pick. First of all, since we're on the Batman thing, I mean, Kevin Conroy is Batman.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I really, really love, cinematically, live action wise, Christian Bale. Like, to me, is Batman. And I love those movies so much. Christopher Nolan knew exactly what he was doing. He took a comic book character. Batman is a superhero, obviously. So if you're listening and you're like, well, Batman's not technically a superhero. Yeah, he is. And his superpower is that he's Batman. Okay?
Yeah.
So Christian Bale's Batman is amazing to me. I'm also going to list Blade. Because you guys,
knew you would.
guys know I'm a huge Blade fan, right? Blade's one of my absolute favorite characters, and it was before Wesley Snipes came in, but that cemented it. And those two Blade movies that they did
oh, what we don't
were,
care.
were amazing. Oh no, I don't mind the miniseries with Sticky Fingers. I don't mind that at all.
But you don't like the Ryan Reynolds
I
one.
don't, what you talking about Deadpool? What are you talking about? Anyway,
yeah,
moving
yeah.
on. and my third one I'm going to say is Michelangelo from the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And the second one actually. And shoot, 3 and TMNT. I love Michelangelo so much.
What a
he's
pull.
He's one of my favorite cinematic superheroes, and he just really epitomizes who I am. But you know, John, there are some heroes that I didn't list. My favorite superhero team ever is the Fantastic Four, right?
Oh, the
and you
Fantastic
love the
Four.
X-Men, but they didn't quite hit that level of like best heroes in cinematic superhero movie history yet, right?
No, I think, there was some misdirection with Fantastic Four, but they are going to make another one. They're obviously going to recast it now that Disney's going to take the property over and they, acquired everything from Fox. They're in the midst of doing that. So
It's over. It's done.
They plan to relaunch Fantastic Four. They plan to relaunch the X-Men. I believe that, I guess Dark Phoenix is the last one. I don't think we're going to see the other mutant films that are going to come to light. What was the other one? I think that's going to be
New Mutants.
New Mutants is going to disappear because the trailer was great, actually.
It got taken off the schedule this year.
Yeah, it's just vanished. So if they recast...
It'll probably be released on Disney Plus.
Hey, I would watch
Like
it.
if you think about it.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on that new Warriors series that they filmed.
Really?
They did a whole first season of the new Warriors, man.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
For what was it for?
I don't remember, but they don't either, apparently.
So if they recast these X-Men or the Fantastic Four, who would you guys want? Anybody casting call? I like doing casting call. See what you guys think and who, in your opinion, would be good at these particular roles. I'm going to start with Drew. Is there a particular actor that you think, hey, this person is, in my opinion, should fill the shoes of, say, Wolverine or Xavier or Magneto?
I had two schools of thought. Like, for one, I didn't go through the whole X-Men list. That's a whole lot. But the most important one is clearly Wolverine. He's the one, again, like Spider-Man, able to anchor his own movies. Logan was incredible. And
were you thinking Will Ferrell? That's what I was thinking.
yes,
For Wolverine.
Yeah.
His name is Farrell.
It works on two levels.
But I actually went for a younger guy that I've seen, and I looked at like some fantasy casts just to get an idea. But one that was listed was a guy named Ryan Guzman, who
I know his name. What's he in?
He was on Pretty Little Liars. He's on 911 on which I believe is Fox right now, and then he was on Heroes Reborn. And the thing is, like, he's shorter than Hugh Jackman, so I want like a kind of like younger, more comic accurate Thor. And he was also like an MMA fighter, so he's jacked for an actor that doesn't do a ton of physical roles that he'd clearly have to. But after that, I just did the Fantastic Four. I got Ron Perlman as the voice of Ben.
Oh, okay. Do them all CG. I like that.
I think that the CG, like,
Ben's got to be CG.
Yeah, I don't think like the bodysuit like in the original one wouldn't translate as
the
well.
The original one, like the Roger Corman film.
I think the Corman bodysuit works better than the Chickless one, to be honest with you. Just
really?
a little bit.
Really, that was actually the highlight of the film. The costume was great.
But yeah,
Doom's costume was good in that film too.
Oh yeah,
it just looked a little like
Party
City.
They should have put a mic outside of his mask. He's like, vertiver. What? Yeah.
Yeah, but Ron Perlman is him, and then I went for like an older version of the Richards clan. I went Adrian Brody as Reed, and then Rosamund Pike as Sue.
Okay.
And then Sam Claflin as Johnny.
I don't know who that is.
In Hunger Games, he was the guy with the trident.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
I can see him as Johnny.
Still younger. Played a hothead very well.
He looked like James Franco light.
Yeah, which hey,
Didn't James's little brother, James Franco Light, doesn't he have a little brother that looks like him?
Yeah. He would actually make a good Johnny Storm. Actually, that's some good picks, man.
Thank you.
We should get one of the Francos in the Marvel universe. That's all I want. I don't care which one.
Yeah, just bring back old Harry with his charming smile. James Franco. Just bring him back as Harry. Let him be Norman this time.
Yeah.
I totally forgot he was in the Spider-Man films. I don't know why I forgot that. What about you, Goldsmith? What do you think?
I honestly didn't take too much thought into this segment. But
Great.
When I was
you
thinking about it,
to the show.
Well, I thought of one. I thought it would be really cool. I was thinking of Reed Richards having Anson Mount play him.
That'd be cool. I mean, just pretend that the Inhumans
He's already
didn't exist.
blackballed, though. Yeah, just pretend they're going to pretend the Inhumans didn't happen.
Yeah,
smart move, to be honest.
He's got that strong chin. He's got a really.
I can dig that.
Feel like he
I can dig
played
that.
character.
Yeah, I can dig that, man.
No,
Mr. Fantastic, Anson Mount. He's great.
I like him in Hell on Wheels, so I dig it. But
I need to watch Hell on Wheels.
It's good.
I've seen. He was in season 2 of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's fantastic.
That's Pike.
Yeah, Captain Pike, historical figure. What about you, John?
I was actually going to jump to Robbie and ask Robbie. I'm interested to hear Robbie's.
That's fine.
Robbie's picks because Robbie you're the biggest Fantastic Four fan I know.
I am, but I'm not the biggest fan of casting calls because I don't really keep up with who is hot in Hollywood or anything like that. So I had to look at it. I had to look at 20 to 30 fan castings and kind of put my own ideas together and be in. But first of all, John Krasinski is widely accepted already by fans as Reed Richards for Fantastic Four.
I think he's too muscled for it, but I like him.
I mean,
a lot.
come on, that's fine.
But I still think he'd be good.
Yeah, I think he'd be
Richard.
great.
I think he would be good. Another pick for me, though, would be Tom Cavanaugh from Flash.
Dude, Tom Cavanaugh would be my first pick. I love Tom Cavanaugh so much, man.
For Susan Richards, I have, or at this point, she would be Susan Storm, ideally, right? Carey Mulligan, she was in Inside Llewyn Davis. She is a fantastic actor, and I think she would do a great job. Daisy Ridley also, maybe. I don't think that'd be too bad of an idea. Ben is kind of hard because you just kind of want to get the voice, but you got to have someone who can carry that gruffness when he's not Ben Grimm, like when he's not the Thing, when he's just human. My first pick would be Michael Cudlitz, who is from Walking Dead. I think he plays Abrams.
Okay.
But he's the guy with the red hair and the
Yeah,
bushy
beard,
mustache. Like, I think he would really kind of capture it. And I also think that Hazel from Umbrella Academy, I cannot think of the actor's name right now, but whoever played Hazel, the bounty hunter, and what's that movie? I mean, Umbrella Academy.
Yeah,
I think that would work. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he would work. And for Johnny, I only have one pick. That's Zac Efron,
That'd be a
Oh
good one.
man,
Yeah.
unless Chris Evans comes back, which I don't think is gonna happen. For Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom, Joaquin Phoenix.
really?
Ooh, that'd be good.
Think about him against John Krasinski, right? For the X-Men, I got Wolverine, I got Tom Hardy,
Yeah, that was that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
or Charlie
Hunnam.
from
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy and a few
Pacific
others.
Rim.
For Cyclops, I'm going either Scott Eastwood, which a lot of people kind of pick as Wolverine, but I also would be like, let's do it, John Boyega as Cyclops. Finn to me is very Scott Summers.
Yeah.
And so I could see that. For Jean Grey, I'm assuming they already said that the X-Men's they're going to take a while to get to that. So 5 years from now is kind of what I'm thinking. Millie Bobby Brown, she's already playing Jean Grey right now. Right? Well, why not? Right? Because honestly, I can't think of anybody else. For Storm, Zoe Kravitz, I think that'd be great. Hear me out on this one, Beast.
Wasn't Zoe Kravitz in one of the X-Men movies already?
Was she?
Yeah,
Who?
I thought she was in First Class.
Yeah, she was in First Class. She was.
She was the angel?
Yeah, she was the
Yeah.
angel, the bug wings.
Yeah, recast. Come on.
All right,
She's a better Storm. Come on.
Cool with it.
Hear me out on Beast. Jordan Peele.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, right.
He could write and
That would
direct
work.
the movie too.
For Xavier, I got two picks: either Mark Strong, who belongs in the MCU,
Yeah.
or Rafe Fiennes.
Oh, two very strong British bald gentlemen.
And for Magneto, I only have one pick, and that's another actor from Star Trek Discovery, Oscar Isaac, as Magneto. He has the intensity of both Fassbender and McKellen all in one, and I think he would be able to carry it, especially opposite someone like Rafe Fiennes. Right?
Very nice.
What about you, John?
Man, I don't know if I can live up to what you got. First off, I didn't even think of half of these because I couldn't think of. I looked at actors, I thought about it.
If you notice, I picked my ultimate X-Men team.
Also, you had a lot.
I know you're a big Angel fan. No Angel. You didn't pick anybody for Archangel or
Nah.
Angel.
Nah.
I think who'd be good as an Angel. Now he was rumored to be Batman, and now that rumor's not true. I think Armie Hammer would be a good Angel.
Yeah, he'd be a good Cyclops too.
He would.
Yeah.
Any superhero film. I love Armie Hammer. Let's have him more stuff.
You know, I hear that the Batman announcements could be made very soon, and he's one of the front runners still,
yeah,
right?
I think he would be fantastic as Batman. So again, get him in any superhero film. I don't care what it is. I agree with you on my list. I had Tom Hardy as Wolverine. I do like Charlie Hunnam, however you say his name. I do whatever.
Charlie.
I do like him because Tom Hardy was just Wolverine. It was just a Venom, right? So
yeah.
even though they're not tied together, whatever. In 5 years, who knows?
Yeah, can we just forget Venom happened?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people like it for some reason. I don't get
Made
it.
a boatload of money though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did.
Who was the guy that played Donald Draper? What was his name? What's the actor's
John
name?
Hamm.
John
That's
Hamm.
my
What
man.
about him as Magneto? John Hamm.
I'm not buying it.
Not buying it?
I'm not buying it.
If you were going to place John Hamm in the Marvel Universe, who would you think he would play? Because I think he's got a superhero.
Jonah
He's got a
Jameson?
very
he's not angry, no.
statuesque. He's a statuesque. He's got that voice. So I think he would make a great.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
I want him for Superman
How about U.S. Agent?
for A Kingdom Come, but that's a different thing altogether.
You just said MCU, didn't you?
I said MCU, but I said if we're casting a superhero in general.
Who would you cast him in the MCU?
Yeah.
Superman.
Superman. Yeah.
That I really can't think of anybody else for. I really always wanted that, and it's too old now. The guy, the Cajun fella, the guy. I don't know if he's Cajun. The guy with the longer hair and the scruff from Lost would have been a great Gambit. What was that guy's name?
Are you talking about Sawyer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been a great. Now what is he? 50? It's too late.
Yeah, probably too late now.
Yeah.
Because my original picks for Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom were Oscar Isaac as Doom and George Clooney as Reed. But it's just beyond that now.
Oscar
Yeah.
Isaac. That's a really interesting pick.
But as Magneto
Yeah.
would be great.
So you
Yeah.
picked your two man crushes for those two roles.
No, because
I know
Timothy
you love-
Olyphant I didn't talk about.
Oh, God.
He's gonna be Moon Knight. Just wait and
Is
see.
there?
Yeah,
Is
he
there?
would be
Robbie?
great.
Is there a specific scene
should
that
be
made
Reed.
you think of Oscar Isaac for Doctor Doom?
The Patriot, the whole movie.
Oh, okay.
It was the movie The Patriots when I decided that he should be Doctor Doom.
Wait, which character was he in Patriot?
He was the
He was
villain.
he's the
He was
bad
the bad guy.
He's the most evil character in he's one of the most evil dudes.
Not
In the Mel Gibson movie, The Patriot.
Which character? Because
He's
He's the bad guy.
He's the dragoon.
He
that
fights
kills the
Harrison
family.
Ford. Oh, I'm thinking of Patriot Games.
Yes.
Two
I'm
different
thinking
movies.
who was the other the captain from the first season of Star Trek Discovery? Malfoy. Dad.
That's Oscar Isaac, man.
No, it's not. Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs.
Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, did I say Oscar Isaac this
You
whole
did
time?
say Oscar Isaac.
I
That's
meant
the
Jason
Hispanic
Isaacs. My
or
bad.
whatever
You keep saying
dude.
Ice. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Jason
Yeah.
Isaac. You
I got
wanted
really-
Jason
yeah.
Isaac for who? For Doctor Doom.
I picked him for Magneto.
Magneto.
Yeah.
Jason Isaac. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Jason
said
Isaac,
Oscar because
Magneto.
I get
So
what I
who
did.
was your Doctor
Yeah, you
Doom
fucked up.
choice?
Currently it would be Joaquin Phoenix.
The Joker.
Yes,
For who? Who are we talking about now?
Apparently, it's
that's for
easy.
Doctor
Dr. Doom
Back
or
in
Magneto?
the day, back
Yeah.
in the day, Jason Isaacs was my.
It appears.
I
though,
broke the wrong name down, guys.
Jason
What happened.
Isaacs for
Whoops.
For
Doctor Doom or Magneto?
For Magneto,
Magneto,
now,
okay.
for Doom back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It appears though if you're
Yeah.
if you're in a
I see
Marvel
that.
film, it's easy to transition to DC or vice versa. Like it's hard to get cast as a superhero, but once you do, you could easily make it to another superhero movie. Because you look at seriously, that's the most ancestral between DC and Marvel. There's so many people that have jumped between the two or stayed within and been recast. I guess once you get your foot in the door,
Jimin Hunsu has been in 3 in a calendar year. Like he was in
Captain Marvel.
he was Aquaman, Captain Marvel, and Shazam.
Yeah.
yeah. See, once you get in a
Just keeps
superhero,
going back and forth. Three different
We
characters.
need to get you in a superhero film, Goldsmith, and then you'll once you're in, man.
And I am sorry
Yeah.
for the confusion of saying Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, we need to
instead of
make it
Jacob
very
Isaac.
clear.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to make
Jason-
it very, very explicitly clear that Robbie was talking about Jason Isaacs and not.
I thought it was
Oscar.
more
Yeah,
Not
but
Poe Dameron.
that being said, Oscar Isaac would make a great Doctor Doom today.
Yeah, a younger one, definitely.
Yeah.
Younger.
That'd be
Yeah,
good.
that's-
So that's my bad.
I think that's some good, interesting casting decisions. Actually, I think we're going to take a little break, and we come back. We will be talking about. Oh, I got to find my notes here. Wow, very unprofessional for sure. We'll be talking about our favorite superhero movie villains here on Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome back to Pop Culture Philosophers. We're talking about superhero movies, and I kind of want to talk about the great villains because there's been some great and not so great, actually, portrayals of villains on the big screen. So I'd like to kind of get your guys' ideas, what you think of some of your favorite villains on the big screen, some of your favorite actors as those villains, because there's been some phenomenal ones, and especially as of late, some big screen villains that I never thought I would see on the big screen. Really, there's some that you expect, but there's been some variations and some ones that just blow my mind. Is some of the casting as well. So I'm actually going to start with Goldsmith. Some of your favorite super villains on the big screen, and some of your favorite casting.
Dude, I'll tell you, my favorite villain from a superhero movie, bar none, is Hydra
Oh, just Hydra.
from Winter Soldier. Man, that was such a huge turning point for not just the MCU, but Agents
I thought
of
you were going to say
S.H.I.E.L.D.
turn on, by the way.
I mean, no, it was so cool because it was involved in the show too, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was such a big turning point for both the MCU and the show, and it came out of nowhere. It's like S.H.I.E.L.D. It turns out most of the people in S.H.I.E.L.D. were in Hydra. It was. Do you not remember? Was that not such a interesting revelation for you?
Yeah, it was, man. Absolutely.
No,
No, it was. It was really good. Yeah.
Hydra, though, is a great Marvel villain as an entity. You know what I'm saying? So it works well in film, and I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, it's like as much as it changed. I'm straying away from the
Nobody's
movies.
disagreeing with you, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
I
acting
know.
like we're
I'm
coming
just,
at you.
I know. I'm just trying to explain it, but there's not really much to explain. It's just the way.
I'm happy you brought that up because Hydra is actually the sponsor of the show tonight. Hell Hydra.
Hell Hydra.
Hell, Hydra.
Who else besides Hydra? They're an entity. Is there any particular actors or particular lone villain that stood out in your mind or that you loved? What about Iron Man? You're a big Iron Man fan. Is there a particular Iron Man villain that you really liked?
I also really did enjoy the plot twist in Iron Man 3 with Ben
Most
Kingsley.
people did not, but I did.
I did.
I did.
A lot of people were very upset about that.
He did a good job. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Ben Kingsley, seriously, is one of the greatest actors of all time.
Ben Kingsley and who was the actual Mandarin?
Guy Pearce?
Guy Pearce, yeah.
The great guy, also a great actor.
Yeah, so the Mandarin.
The MCU has been blessed with some amazing actors. They've had some great cast. They've gone with some younger people who've turned out to do a phenomenal job. They've also cast some great people who are already phenomenal actors I don't know. It seems like if you were a big actor, maybe if you came to you and be like, hey, we want you to be a superhero, some people would turn it down. But they've embraced it and done a great job. And obviously it's paid off in spades.
Yeah.
What about you, Drew? Are there some actors, some Marvel villains that stand out in your mind? Actors or just villains, characters that you thought couldn't be on the big screen that just blew you away? Who you enjoy the most?
Well, for one, Killmonger.
Oh, dude, awesome.
Michael B. Jordan was great, and I thought that his plan, it was like he had a good plan. He's like, I'm just gonna get captured, taken back to Wakanda, take over, and it's like he had a very logical plan that almost worked, and then and he had actual reasons, like actual emotional reasons. He's like, yeah, I wanted to help out people around the world who are being screwed over. And it's like, yeah, we should be doing more. And his lessons actually impacted Wakanda for the positive. And Michael B. Jordan's just a badass.
Yeah, talk about casting call. He would have been a great Johnny Storm. You ever think about that?
Too much.
Too soon.
Too much, in fact. To piggyback off of Hydra, the Winter Soldier, that man is a Terminator.
Dude, what
in
a
Winter
badass.
Soldier.
Bucky?
Bucky is like, he is horrifying. Just like chucking the shield, and the shield had just been like this unstoppable object up until that.
He just catches it with that hand. Yeah. Shit.
And then like the way the arm like moves on its own when he's fighting is wild, and it's like, yeah, again, emotional. And even though he acts like a Terminator because he's programmed, and it was like watching that movie, and plus he had some incredible fight scenes in that and in Civil War.
Holy shit, yeah.
But the Joker. I mean, all versions, but specifically Mark Hamill in Mask of the Phantasm. Like there is some legit like creepy moments, and his voice acting in that is incredible. But also Heath Ledger, of course, R.I.P. Never forgotten. Clearly. And then someone that I wish that they would have done another movie with as the Joker was John DiMaggio from Under the Red Hood. Like, he was very good in the little that he got to do.
A.K.A. Bender, A.K.A. Marcus Phoenix. What a great voice actor.
A.K.A. Jake the Dog.
I would put him up there with Mark Hamill as far as, like, great voice actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised how much he has done. And he was also a great baseball player in his day. Robbie. Who are your favorite villains on the big screen?
Speaking of John DiMaggio, right? For me, well, Drew took two of mine.
Son of a bitch.
One of them is the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
But I would more particularly want to talk about Heath Ledger. Like, I loved his performance as the Joker. I think he understood the character. I think it really, really made a lot of sense for that movie. And he did a fantastic job.
It drove him insane.
Arguably. But anyway, I was also going to say Killmonger. Because Killmonger's got layers that I love. But since you said Killmonger, I'm going to go ahead and use that spot to say Deacon Frost from the first Blade film, but Stephen Dorff. I really like this upstart vampire half-breed that's like challenging the purebloods and all that stuff. I think it's fantastic. But my number one is Magneto. Specifically Ian McKellen, but Fassbender's Magneto is fantastic as well.
Yeah, they both do a good job. I think trying to fill the shoes of Sir Ian McKellen, who is just such a phenomenal actor.
I mean, true sir.
Yeah, and I really am surprised that Fassbender came in there and killed it. He is such a great actor. I think he's one of the, you talk about these great actors back in the day, like, so-and-so, Sir so-and-so. You talk about these great actors, we're talking about like 60s and the 70s. You don't get a lot of actors now that have that same, the stature. Yeah. I think Fassbender is one of those actors. I really think he is. And he's not always in great films. He's in some phenomenal films. He's been in some meh. You got to, maybe he's building a new house or something. He needs the paycheck. But he's in more good films than bad films, and he's just a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, and I just think that Ian McKellen his Magneto in particular is my favorite superhero movie villain ever. What about you, John?
And it's hard not to have compassion for him, like his point of view.
Yeah,
Although the whole
to a point.
thing with the statue doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway.
It doesn't.
I would say, Michael Fassbender as Magneto. That being said, Magneto is my favorite Marvel villain. So that's sort of cheating, just my go-to. I really do love Jack Nicholson's Joker. I know he was more of a more like of a gangster than the traditional Joker.
But that's an element of the Joker. That's the thing.
There's these different actors bring out different Jokers.
Yeah.
But they all still embody the Joker.
The Joker is never the same entity.
Yeah, and
comic book to comic book.
And even though I like Cesar Romero's Joker, I was never as scared like I was. Like I thought Jack Nicholson, seen him on the big screen. Again, I was 10 years old when I saw this movie in the theater, and he was way more intimidating than I thought the Joker ever could be.
You know, I was 8 years old because you're older than me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you guys like that stab? Anyway,
wiser
that moment when he kills Jack Palance
with the handshake buzzer thing.
No,
that's not the Jack. Oh,
he just shoots him.
Yeah, he shoots him in the
right?
beginning because he's
But he's in shadows and he steps out of it. But right before he steps out of the shadows and you first see him as the Joker, he's like they're barely lit in the shadows, and it's so scary to me even to this day to see that Joker, because visually that is the comic book Joker, you know, from the 80s. Like that's what he's got, that grin. And you know, maybe the most comic book accurate Joker ever on screen has been Cesar Romero, to be honest with you. But the Joker has become so many different characters, and Jack Nicholson nailed that particular version.
I think, it's phenomenal. I really, even though one villain I don't know as well as other villains that has blown me away on the big screen, and probably my favorite in the MCU is Loki. I think Loki is amazing. He's hilarious, but he's also he's such a great villain. And again, I've seen these people, so many people love Loki. Well, first off, I can see where the ladies come from. He's a good-looking guy.
He's a dreamy dude.
Yeah, the ladies fawn over him. He was rumored to be the next Bond. You know, Daniel Craig's working on the new film, and I'm excited about it. I like Daniel Craig.
Wouldn't Daniel Craig make a pretty decent Magneto as well?
Oh, my God, yes. Oh, yeah. Daniel Craig for anything. I like Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is freaking awesome.
You know what? What about Idris Elba as Magneto? I'd be down with that.
What about Idris Elba
as anybody? It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love him to be.
Your bonds.
I would love Elba to be in any superhero film. I mean, I think he's a great actor.
He's been in one, I hear, Thor.
Oh, I can't believe you forgot. He was the gatekeeper dude.
He's forgettable because I don't give him enough to do.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's barely in the film. And actually, I forgot he was in that because, well, first off, let's forget the second film. I think most people have forgot the second film.
Should.
The first film's good. The third film was really, really good. I don't know what happened with the second film. And yet, he's got such a bit part, and he's such a great actor. I'm sorry I forgot about it. I feel really bad. He's you know, and he'll always be the dick boss though in The Office to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Now I get what you're saying when you say that.
I know I have an effect on ladies. Remember that scene? I would say the other villains I would stand out would be the one that I think wasn't utilized correctly, and the one that could have been good because it was a great actor was the Red Skull. I really think I think the prosthetics look good. I think the costume was good. I just think it was a miss. I think there was so much potential to be there, and he's the most associated villain with Captain America.
Yeah.
And not hardly used. And then lastly, I'll throw out that he already said, Drew already said, Winter Soldier. Like, how badass is Buckley? And what is that, Sebastian Stan? Is that his real name, the actor?
Yeah.
He does such a good job. And he's got the long hair, and he's got the mask, and he's got that AR-15, and he's just rolling over people.
This sounds like John's ideal version of himself.
Yeah. Dude, that seriously, if
perfect
I was Sebastian Stan, ladies would throw themselves up. But guys, too. Everybody would throw themselves at
I
me.
would.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about the Red Skull, and I agree with you. It's like you got Hugo Weaving,
who's phenomenal,
and you just kind of he just didn't come across right. And in Infinity War and Endgame, it's a different actor who's doing a great version of Hugo Weaving's Red Skull.
It's like a keeper of that stone or whatever.
And think about this, okay? Spoilers for Endgame, by the way. So if you haven't watched Endgame for some reason, skip forward 20 seconds. Captain America, in order to return that Soul Stone, had to come across Red Skull again. Think about that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And escape Red Skull.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I completely gloss over that whole thing.
Think about that.
That would have been a great next Captain America film. It's just him back through time on adventures, trying to return. That could have been
fantastic.
his TV series.
That would have been really cool, man.
It could have been like Quantum Leap, but it wouldn't suck like that Quantum Leap show. What?
boy.
No, it's a
That's
good
a
show.
different
I'm just trying to
podcast.
I'm trying to rile up Goldsmith. That's a good show.
Shit.
You know, another great thing about superhero movies, and in movies in particular, and most of the times when we talk about movies, we talk about movie music. And music is very important in carrying that mood and carrying that tone throughout the film.
Yeah.
And superhero movies have to, first of all, have a theme that can easily be identified with that superhero.
Oh, yeah.
And they also had to make it exhilarating and not riff off John Williams too much, unless you're John Williams. So I want to know, what are your favorite superhero movie themes, soundtracks, scores, songs, whatever you want to say? You got up to 4 choices that you can list here. Justin is looking at me intensely as fuck right now. So, Justin, you go first.
And he's unbuttoning his
Because-
shirt. People can't see that.
No, the shirt's already unbuttoned.
Yes,
But
it is.
I'm legit. Like just because Endgame just came out 4 days ago.
And by the way,
4 days ago.
The day that we are recording this is National Superhero Day.
Yeah,
National
Happy
Superhero
National
Day.
Superhero Day. But yeah, that's
Which
like
was not planned.
The whole every time I've looked at this on the rundown, the music, all I can think of is the Avengers theme.
Dude, it's such a good... Who does that theme? It is so... It's powerful.
Hey, Mr. Computer in front of him, who does the theme?
You know who does that theme? Because it's... Dude, in the trailer it was epic. It's epic when you hear it, and it's the Avengers. Now, is it used in any other Marvel properties? I think it was just the Avengers.
It's
right?
used in the movies when they have the Avengers show up. It's used in Civil War.
Okay.
Like a little bit.
It's it's in most of the movies
It
from
is
the last
epic.
5 years or
And
so.
that theme, when it first got introduced, I was like, one of my criticisms about the first Avengers film was that it didn't have that kind of like score like John Williams' Superman or Danny Elfman's Batman. It didn't come out and just kind of cement itself on its own, but 10 years later, it sure has.
Yeah.
That theme was in my head all day on
Alan
Thursday.
Silvestri.
Yes.
That's
who it is.
Alan.
What
not
else has
Adam.
he done? Because that theme is amazing. I think I'm overlooking this fine gentleman.
It's a good one, though, man. It really gets stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Anything else, Justin? Are you still trying to look up what Alan Silvestri has done? I recognize that name. It may just be because
Did he
of
do the Back to
Avengers.
the Future theme?
No, that's totally...
Who did that?
That wasn't that dude.
It's Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
But,
I think he did.
did he?
With
The dun,
Oh, yeah.
dun, dun,
He said it says
dun.
collaboration with Robert Zemeckis for Back to the Future.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Me and John are looking at the internet right now. Oh,
That's
he also
nice.
did some music
Great
for
radio.
Summer Rental. That's a great movie.
Well, I'll
Well,
tell you-
most importantly, he did Delta Force.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. The music in Back to the Future is awesome.
Oh my God, yes.
And instantly recognizable,
Yeah.
just like Avengers is. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, the 1989 Batman.
Yeah, Danny Elfman, yeah.
Danny
Yeah,
Elfman.
Danny Elfman Batman music is so
Amazing.
good, so dark
And
and,
as soon, and like today, when you hear that, you immediately think Batman.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
used it in Batman vs Superman.
Did they
A
really?
little bit,
Yes,
yeah.
they
They
did,
used
just
a little
bit, but it's in it. When he first his car shows up, yeah, they barely used it.
They used
but
it in the animated series.
Yeah,
Batman Mask of the Phantasm has a version of it at the beginning of that movie
yeah.
where they have the choir singing.
Yeah.
Oh
That's,
it
my
was
God.
so good.
yeah,
That's
that's epic.
don't worry, that's on my list.
All right. Justin, you got anything else?
Yeah, go.
All right, let's go to Drew then.
That's a good segue.
All right, one I got, and just soundtracks for these first two. One, Watchmen.
Oh my
That
God,
that
yes.
soundtrack is
Yes.
awesome. It's like
Yeah, if you're gonna go with soundtrack, bar none, Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne. Oh
The-
no,
wait, sorry.
problematic.
But
no.
just soundtrack, period. Yeah, you won
Yeah.
it there, man.
I was just
Yeah.
going with themes.
Game over.
The soundtrack, yeah.
I mean, you can go through like Dylan, My Chemical Romance, Simon and Garfunkel,
My Chemical Garfunkel.
My Chemical Garfunkel.
That's gonna be our cover band if we start a cover band.
But no, there's a ton after
Smashing Pumpkins.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but after that, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Holy
I
shit,
think
yeah.
it's like
I do want to point out that the Smashing Pumpkins song that was used in Watchmen was originally written for Batman and Robin.
wow.
Holy shit! Well, it did better. Well, it's in the better film.
But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if there's been like one single movie that's done more for one band than Redbone. It's like, hey, like everyone looked up that song immediately
Oh, yeah.
after that movie.
That mixtape, I'm sure, sold more than any other movie soundtrack for sure.
I'm not going to bring up the Suicide Squad actually sold a ton of soundtracks.
Yeah, but the Suicide Squad just riffed off what Guardians did, and it's really like it makes a lot of sense to me that James Gunn is the director of the sequel.
Oh yeah,
or not sequel to Suicide Squad,
whatever the hell
shouldn't
it
be
is.
a sequel. But after that,
talk about superhero. Elba's in that. We just mentioned he should be.
He's
in
gonna be
fucking
in-
Suicide Squad too.
the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And I actually think that Smashing Pumpkin song was only used in the Watchmen trailer. Now I think about it.
it was Muse. Muse was in the trailer
Muse.
for Watchmen.
Okay. Well, okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the trailer that I'm talking about. But and
I
then
think they did more than one.
after that, Hans Zimmer's Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like whenever you think like big bass, just everything that you can just go and listen to that and be fine with it. And then Shirley Walker with Mask of the Phantasm,
Oh yes.
like the theme with the riffs on Elfman, but way amped up gothic like choirs.
Yeah. Very epic.
Yeah, and they're great. Great! Wow, that was actually pretty good, Robbie.
Thank you.
and then like the chase scenes, like and then emotional scenes with Andrea, just incredible, like top to bottom score. I was listening to some of it on the way here. It's great.
Yeah. It's just an
stuff.
amazing score.
For me, we've said some of these already. Batman by
Yeah.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single movie that makes me think of a character with the music more than that. Like I think it's exceptional. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is my favorite soundtrack out of those two films.
George
I just love
Harrison,
that.
man.
Yeah, George Harrison's in there. ELO is up in there. I think it's a better soundtrack. I mean, they both are amazing. They both really work. Prince, did a pretty decent job with Batman, by the way.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Hans Zimmer, Batman, Dark Knight. That's a great one. And don't forget or sleep on Blade, because Blade's got a great soundtrack as well, including that New Order Confusion remix that was done with the blood rave scene. But I didn't say.
No, keep going.
What about you, John?
Besides, we already talked about Danny Elfman, Batman. Amazing.
And the Hans Zimmer stuff for Dark Knight especially, it uses pieces of that.
Yeah.
Instead of going dun-dun-dun-dun, it goes dun-dun. It just takes a few of those notes away, but
I don't enjoy it as much as Danny Elfman, but I do enjoy the Dark Knight series. I think Hans Zimmer does an amazing job. The like we talked about, one of my list was the one for Avengers, which is great, which we've already listed. And one that we didn't talk about was 78 Superman. We mentioned John Williams earlier, but John Williams, I mean, he's just part of movie soundtracks. I really don't think there's ever going to be a composer for films quite like John Williams, and he's still doing composing films. He did the new Star Wars films.
Yeah.
He's still out there, and he's kicking ass and taking names. And
Isn't Episode 9 his last one though?
I
He's
believe
retiring,
Yeah, I
I
believe,
think.
and he didn't do Rogue One, but Rogue One had a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the thing about the John Williams Superman song is just like Danny Elfman's Batman is so associated with that character, so is Superman.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he even made it so that the music itself screams out, "It's Superman!"
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And when Superman Returns was coming out, that first trailer, when they start playing that music,
Dun, dun, dun.
it brought me chills, man.
I was a little kid, but it was the first time I had a boner when I heard that music. Oh, when we talk about Danny Elfman, the last one I want to mention, I forgot to mention, he did the Spider-Man.
He did Spider-Man and the
Yeah.
Ang Lee Hulk film. And both of those are really good scores.
They're not as good as the Batman, but I do really like
Spider-Man has a great theme.
I really
though.
like Spider-Man a lot,
Yeah.
and but Danny Elfman, yeah, and that's the problem my problem with Danny Elfman is a composer in general. He does some phenomenal stuff. Half his stuff though kind of sounds like Batman.
Yeah, he recycles some
Yeah,
cues.
half of his stuff is completely original. The other half is Batman.
Well, that's what's so interesting to me about his Hulk score for the Ang Lee Hulk films, because it doesn't sound like that.
You
Yeah.
mean Angly?
Ang Lee.
It sounds
Ang
like you're saying-
Lee.
we did Simpsons,
Oh, Ang
and
Lee.
Simpsons doesn't echo
I thought
any
you were
of his
saying
stuff.
Angry Hulk.
But
So-
Beetlejuice sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's implied.
Well, it was also a Keaton film.
His best score, though, in my opinion, might be Big Fish, which is not a superhero film, but it should be. Big Fish Man. Let's do it.
Oh, I'm so lost.
It
in-
missed that superhero boom, though.
Yeah, yeah. So we're in the midst of the superhero boom. There's superhero films. We got the Marvel Universe, Cinematic Universe. And then, of course, now you're starting to see superhero films that you normally wouldn't even get. Like, there's a Shazam film. And don't get me wrong, I love Shazam and he deserves a film, but I'm surprised they made a film. You know what I'm saying?
Did you watch
blew
it
me
yet?
away. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Love the shit out of it. I'm happy Mark Strong's the bad guy.
Yeah.
He
I
is
haven't
a great
seen Shazam yet, so
villain,
don't
but
give
he's
us spoilers
been
for
the
that.
villain like 40 times now in movies. So great
He's gonna
film.
keep at it till he gets it right.
We just have this like right now this superhero mentality because it's so successful, and I heard that Endgame has broke box office again. You know, superhero films have broke box
Billions
office
already.
before.
$1.2
billion dollars.
Yeah, how many is that in
Holy
Trident
shit.
layers? So there's a momentum with superhero films, but do you think there's an oversaturation? Do you think we're going to be just eventually people are going to burn out because that seems to be right now at any given time. There's at least one superhero film at the theater. And you can go. You might be a horror film, there might be a comedy, there might be a family film, but there is one superhero film because they make so much money. It's like the guaranteed paycheck now. Before people were hesitant. Now it's hey cash money. But we're going to cross, I think, a threshold where it's them just cashing in because they're trying to cash in on it, and not necessarily a good movie. Because there's been some of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even just that, you know, not talking DC or even, you know, other properties. Majority of those films are fantastic. They're not all great, but there's just this going to be, hey, we're, you know, it doesn't matter. It's a superhero. It's a paycheck. So, in your guys' opinion, where do you think it's headed? Do you think there's going to be a boom, or do you think they're oversaturating, or do you think how long can we continue this? I'm going to start with Drew. What do you think as far as the momentum of the superhero movies? Do you think it's a fad? How long do you think it can continue?
I think it'll continue until there's a lull of like almost a year of just not good films, because right now they're mostly consistent. Like there's a dip every now and then, like an Iron Man movie or a bad Thor movie, just dips and dips. But then there's always one that comes after. It's like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. I'm back on the train. But if it goes down for almost like a year, that could slow the industry of superhero movies as a whole. There is definitely a subset of population that wishes that there was more variety in overall types of movies and not just superhero movies, and I don't care. It's like I'm still going to see most of them.
No, we did luck out. We just had days apart. We had Captain Marvel, Shazam, and Endgame. So we had all these superhero movies, and they were all good.
Yeah.
We had all these good movies back to back to back. And if you would have told me 10 years ago we'd have two Captain Marvel films,
Yeah,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I would have said, shut the fuck up.
it's like, what are you
But I
talking
didn't think we were
about?
ever going to get a Shazam film. I also didn't think we were going to get a Marvel Captain Marvel film. You know what I'm saying? From
Yeah.
Marvel. I really didn't think those things were going to happen. And we had three back-to-back. And they're all great films in their own right. I might could poke holes in each of them if you really wanted to. But they're all really good films. Visually, they're good. Overall, it's good stories. Great cast. I mean, when they first announced the guy from Chuck is
Zachary
Shazam,
Levi.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
A guy from the Marvel
Yeah.
Universe. He was in the bad Thor movie.
I flipped over my table. I was so mad. But you know what? The movie is great. So these are all great movies. So far, it's been pretty consistent. So you think if they keep the momentum with quality, you think it's going to keep up?
Yeah, like there has to be like a dip for a while. Like you have to get to the bottom, and then I think like you'll have to build that quality back up, because although I do think that there will be just a little bit of a dip after Endgame because that closed so many character stories, and now it's like just a lot of people are going to just wash their hands of it and be like, oh, thank God that's over.
Yeah, for those people listening, if you haven't seen Endgame, Rocket was hit by a car while he was eating out the trash.
Was he another trash?
So Rocket's no longer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that kind of hurts. He's going to be missed. And coincidentally, the actor that plays him, Bradley Cooper, was also hit by a car while eating out the trash. What about you, Goldsmith? What do you think of the momentum of the superhero films? Do you think we can sustain this going forward? Do you think it's a fad?
Well, that's a really interesting thing about the momentum of it. It's really a genre that's been around for a long time. You know, the Batman movies in the '60s, and there were.
But we have like years apart. Now we had 3 superhero movies in 3 months.
Yeah, well, it's obviously going to slow down a little bit from where it is now, because Endgame is definitely
The penultimate.
peak. Like this is the top of the bell curve, but this genre is going to be around for a long time to come. It's like up until the last 10 years or so, you had like horror, sci-fi, romance, drama, like all this, and dramedy, yeah, all the mixed genres and stuff. But
Silent films.
I said comedy.
Comedy, yeah, all that stuff. But like superhero or comic book or whatever you want to call it, it's been around for a long time, but it's only like in the last 20 years or so, it's kind of been getting cool to be nerdy. So this genre is coming about, and it's not going away anytime soon.
When will it be uncool to be a geek again? Because I'm a geek, and I'm afraid that it's going to wear out in a couple of weeks.
Everybody's going to be nerdy from now on. Like this genre is not going anywhere. It's one of the new mainstays. It's not going.
That's going to be in a genre of itself going forward altogether.
Yeah,
and that's not going to change.
It's gonna get less popular as it is now, but it's definitely not going anywhere.
Robbie, since you run a popular YouTube channel, so people listening probably know Pop Culture Philosophers on YouTube. But if you don't, Robbie does an awesome, very popular, probably our most popular show, the Rockin' Robbies. You do your weekly comic reviews. And it's, by the way, such a great show. And
thank you.
You've kept, I'm surprised you consistently, it's been great. And for
Every
the most
week.
part, except for one day recently when you went to a concert,
Yeah.
your timing's been spot on. I mean, I give
Well,
you.
I went to go see Kiss.
Yeah.
4 of my other favorite superheroes.
Yeah. So the people, Robbie's the quintessential go-to comic book guy, although Drew is a big comic book guy himself. So I'm more interested to hear what you said, because you have more love for comics than probably the average person.
Well, I kind of agree with what a lot of what Justin said is look at the history of cinema, right? There was a moment where every other week there was a new Western being released, right?
Yeah.
Every other week there was a new musical being released, right? Now, musicals and Westerns are not dominating cinemas anymore, right? They still make them.
They're still around. Yeah.
They still make them.
We
They
need
still
more
get very-
musical westerns.
They still get we should. Stagecoach should not be the only one.
I couldn't even think of it.
Is that the only one?
Hateful Eight.
What?
That's a musical?
Western?
Oh, I thought you were talking
Musical
about Westerns. Yeah.
It's a musical
Yeah,
western.
sure.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that it will phase out in supreme popularity. There won't be one every month. There won't be 3 Marvel movies a year from whatever. But it all depends really on like what happens post Endgame. Because like you were saying, Endgame kind of is like a peak in that bell curve, right?
It definitely.
And like what Drew was saying was like this wrapped up so many character stories: Iron Man, Captain America, maybe even Thor.
Spoilers.
So I mean, we spoiled some stuff already. So it depends. I think right now the short-term success depends on what Phase 4 does, because obviously Marvel's going to try to diversify, right? And they got 2 strong brands right now, 3 actually, if you think about it, to build out of Avengers, and that's Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man. So 3 immensely popular characters that have a bright future. And like Holland could keep playing Spider-Man. Larson can keep playing Captain Marvel, and Boseman can keep playing Black Panther, and Shuri can join in, and so it depends on what's going to happen. But I'm worried about a backlash the way that we've had Comicsgate lately.
Oh God!
People kind of being like very anti-diversifying, popular, fiction.
Ton of white people just retired, so they might be in
Yeah, right? So, like, as long as they don't... I think there will be a backlash for that, like we've seen in Star Wars lately. A lot of people accuse Star Wars of being, like, SJWs and all that. Whatever.
Well, that's happened since the...
If that's the case,
1,
I'm
2,
not
3.
noticing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just enjoying the film for the
well,
film.
because we're logically minded people.
Yeah.
So,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I think a lot of it hinges on Marvel Phase 4 right now, because let's be honest, the MCU is what's carrying this superhero boom. It's not the DC films.
Yeah.
Sure not.
It's not the Hellboys.
Yeah.
It's not the Sin Cities or anything like that. It's the MCU.
That being said, the last two DC, there's been some missteps, but the last 2 DC films
Forward
have been
momentum.
good and very successful.
With the last, if you take out, 3 of the last 4 DC films have been very well received. Taking
I
out
was trying
Justice
to leave
League,
that one out of there to not bring us marks down.
but Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, they've been very well received. But like superhero movies are not going to go away. They're always going to be around, but they won't be what they are now.
Yeah.
Probably 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah.
But we have to see what Marvel does in Phase 4. But they also still got the X-Men and the Fantastic Four to play with.
Yeah.
So
It'll be different.
there's a lot of stuff they can do. And even without Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., I mean, you got Boseman, you got Larson, you got Holland, you got your
I
top
think we're
3
going
right
to get
there.
probably 2 sequels for each of those films. I could see them doing
absolutely.
a trilogy.
Yeah.
It worked well with Captain America, worked with Iron Man.
And even Thor.
And
Yeah,
now
Even
that-
though it
Thor.
had some missteps.
And now that Disney owns Fox now, you can bring all those X-Men characters in too, and
Yeah.
it's doing.
So I think it's superheroes are not going to end as a film genre, but the popularity will wane.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit worrisome now because Endgame just wrapped up so many. How many people now think they can check out the MCU? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'll check it out when it comes to Netflix or Disney Plus. Or
yeah, if
when,
you got the stock, it's time to sell. But the movies aren't going anywhere.
Buddy, I got Disney stock.
What about you, John?
I agree for the most part. I do see what I didn't think about that, but the way Goldsmith said it, having it being itself its own genre going forward, you'll have the comedies, the dramas, etc. You always have a superhero film. Maybe not 3 in the course of a couple of months.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see, maybe 2 a year would be great to continue. So if we continue those and then make good quality films, I think you're going to see more independent, more Image, more Dark Horse. I think you're going to start seeing more because there was a recent Hellboy. But I think you're going to see more of those properties that are not as well known. But you look at say Hellboy. When Hellboy came out, enjoyable film, not the new one, the one with Ron Perlman. And a lot of people didn't know who Hellboy was, but the film was successful, and it was a great film. A lot has to do with great director and great casting. Yeah, but I think if you take a good, even a smaller property, I think there's potential there to keep the momentum because you're going to run out of characters that are well known. If you said 10 years ago we're doing a film that's not Superman or Spider-Man, we're going to do Captain Marvel or Guardians of the Galaxy, and be like, what the hell? And so
think about this: they still have somebody still hasn't made a Superman film that hits like an MCU film yet, and that's going to happen. Maybe we need to let James Gunn get a Superman film.
I would say we hit that in '78, but we haven't hit that since.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think we can.
Well,
once
Superman
again.
3 almost captured it.
God damn it!
I think we are going to be seeing more animation in mainstream for superhero
because
movies.
of Spider-Verse. Yeah,
Spider-Verse, Lego Batman was popular
that
too.
Yet.
I have.
Yeah, well, I'm drunk. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier.
If it's anything like the new that Spider-Man film, then I'm 100% behind it. Because visually, that is just a feast for the eyes.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was just a great story, great cast, great everything, man. That was something that was just a treat. So if we can keep the momentum, I'm excited. We're going to take a little break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about our top 5. Maybe reach out to social media. I think what you folks think. Take a little quick break on Pop Culture Philosophers, superhero movies. Welcome back to Pop Culture Philosophers. We're talking about superheroes, and we talked about some of our favorite villains and our favorite movies, etc. Now I want to hear what you folks think. I think Robbie reached out to the social media, the Twitter, the Facebook, the MySpace. Is MySpace still a thing?
We were cool with MySpace until they got rid of all of our past music that we made, and then we ended it. Didn't like it. Yeah, we reached out to social media. The PCP Army, by the way, over on Facebook is the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. You can interact with members of the excitable PCP crew like me and Drew. Mm-hmm. Not Brooks, not John. Jelani's there. Sometimes I delete Jelani's posts.
What are the odds?
Anyway, it's super fun. So we tweeted out. We tweeted there. No, we posted there. We posted on the Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook. Posted on the Twitter page at Robbie. That's my personal page. We haven't done anything at the PCP Twitter for a minute. I looked over at Drew, but he didn't notice.
Well, you took over. You wanted me to take it over, and then you felt the high of interaction.
It's all good. We're happy with where we are. So we got Cameron Kearns, first of all, from Rocket Punch.
Oh, yeah.
We played video games with
video
them.
game folks. Awesome.
Said Winter Soldier. Will Priest said Guardians of the Galaxy. David Hatch, good old David Hatch, said Unbreakable.
Ooh. I mean, it is a superhero film.
It is, but that's his favorite.
What a spicy choice.
Okay, Matt Baskowski said Batman Returns. I figured John would like that one right there. Brian Weaver said Doctor Strange, to which I told him I would make fun of him for that because Doctor Strange is a terrible film and in no way the best superhero film of all time. However, I know Brian. He's kind of a halfway member of the excitable PCP crew because he's been on a few podcasts. Remember? He was on the Jack Kirby podcast.
Plus, only his legs are part of the...
And he's been on a few videos as well. But Brian Weaver says Doctor Strange. That's one of his favorite characters, so I get that.
Yeah, and dude...
But homie Brian, I just want to tell you this. I didn't pick a Fantastic Four movie in my top 5, homie.
The film has some problems, but I still think Benedict Cumberbatch does such a great... His fault. You know what I'm saying? He's a great Doctor Strange.
Fault. It's just
I think they tried to like
it's just
rush-
Iron Man and with magic. Okay,
man.
Chris Ass, that's a good pick. Clark Moore, I don't know if he's trolling, but he says Dark Man.
Dude, I actually love Dark Man.
Sam Raimi film. Liam
Although
Neeson.
somebody brought up, how can he talk if he has no lips? Like, how can he pronounce things? Valid point.
And Declan Cross says it's a tie right now between Winter Soldier and Endgame.
I concur. I agree with him.
So thank you guys for checking us out at the PCP Army, the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group, and over at the PCP Show on Facebook and at the Rockin' Robbie.
There's some great choices. I think some of those will come back up on our top 5. So we're going to do our top 5. These are our favorite top 5 comic book films of all time. Now, they may not be the most popular. They may not be the biggest blockbuster, but they're near us. So we'll give you our top 5, and then you guys can go and comment if you disagree.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Did you just explain the whole favorite versus best?
Yes.
Because it's been almost a year
Yeah.
since we podcast. We just got to remind people.
So things may have changed. I know mine has slightly changed, but it's very similar. Because that's we talked about our favorite DCU or DC films, favorite Marvel.
yeah.
This would be our favorite comic book films across the board.
That makes me think. Speaking of social media, I just posted up. So me, Jelani, and Brooks have been doing these movie reviews on the YouTube page, right? And we've done every single MCU film, right? And so we do Ya Digs, possible 5 Ya Digs. Since we could do stars, right? Yeah, but that's boring.
Yeah.
Anyway,
have you got the Smack'ems people to pay you guys yet?
That's Dig'em.
Oh.
Anyway, so so I took all the ratings that me, Jelani, and Brooks did on all 22 MCU films, and I combined them together and got the averages. And I posted up a ranking. And when there was a tie, I asked Jelani and Brooks individually, do you choose Ant-Man or Dark World? The reason why Ant-Man's at the bottom of that list is because I chose Ant-Man. They both chose Dark World. Thor. First of all, Brooks is a big Thor fan, and Jelani hates Ant-Man. So, I posted the ratings, the rankings, and people were arguing with us. And I'm like, nobody, this is not our actual list.
Yeah, this is just a combined scores.
This is just what happened to be the averages.
But when I looked at the averages,
which Avengers was the first one.
Yeah, I like the list because, for the most part, I agree with it 95%.
Avengers, by the way, is the only one that had a perfect 5 score from all 3 of us.
See, the only one I had an issue with Avengers, we moved back. I think people see it with rose-colored glasses because it was the first time you get all these superhero films combined and you get all these superheroes together. It's got some issues.
What's number 1 for you, MCU?
An MCU?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Is it on your top 5 list? Is this spoilers?
I don't know if it is. Maybe Guardians?
Okay.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of great films in MCU.
Guardians was
been
top
some
5
missteps. I love the first Iron Man.
10.
I love the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
I love Guardians. Probably my favorite of them MCU, if I had to sit down and think about it, is going to be Winter Soldier.
Okay. Yeah.
Same.
And I'm going to say I'm biased because he's such a badass.
People were really surprised that it fell so far back in our list. It was number 8 or something like that. But it's because it's our average. All 3 of us, I think, would have rated it higher. But when you,
but if you still sit back and take a look at it, most of it makes sense. I'm like, I can see why these ones are so popular.
Yeah.
And the MCU, for the most part, has had a lot of hits, way more hits than misses.
If it was my list, Age of Ultron would be dead last.
Yeah. See, that was the weird thing is that Avengers, I enjoyed. It wasn't my favorite film by any means, but I enjoyed it. And then Ultron seemed like a step back, and then the biggest step forward. I'm like, holy shit! You guys saved the best for last, and then it wasn't last. I mean, it was too far. I didn't know that at the time going to Infinity War that we're gonna have this
but
cliffhanger from hell.
Speaking of rankings,
speaking of rankings,
since
Goldsmith
totally
smells terribly. No, I'm kidding.
What?
No, you never smell bad. Not that I'm smelling you. Let's change the topic. So you guys told us some of your favorite comic book films, MCU, DC, or other. I'm so surprised Darkman's. I hope he's not trolling us because I really do have a sweet spot for the sequels. Though Liam Neeson bailed, he was too fucking good. He would be a great. He should be in the DC universe.
Yeah, but it was the Mummy. The guy that played the Mummy in the Stephen Sommers films was Darkman in 2 and 3, whatever his name was.
Yeah, at least we got him as Ra's al Ghul. How do you say his name? Ra's al Ghul. Whatever. He shows back up, and he was in. Some people don't know that Liam Neeson was also in the Star Wars films. Anyway.
Allegedly.
So we're going to talk about our favorite films. And again, these may not be blockbusters, but we enjoyed them the most. And I think you'll see that it has probably changed a bit. There's been so many superhero films. I mean, it just continues churning them out. And for the most part, they're really good. Seriously, there's a few hits and a few misses, but more hits than misses. Kind of like...
That was an ass backwards way to get to that.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know your guys' top 5 in reverse order. Start with 5. And if you want to give me a brief summary of why you enjoyed the film, well, we won't go into a crazy long. I don't want a 2-hour spiel. I mean, if you want to explain an episode of Lost, that's great, but let's do it in a different...
Wow. Always throwing back to the first episode of PCP.
Wow.
So I'm actually going to start with Goldsmith this time. His top 5 comic book films of all time. I know we're pushing on the spot here, and I have a feeling...
Superhero movies.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Superhero films, not
Superhero
comic books,
films.
because it could be... Yeah, there are, like, Scott Pilgrim's not a superhero movie, although a great movie, by the way, and a great comic. So who are your top 5 superhero films? Goldsmith.
So I'm putting this out here on all the podcasts. When we do our top 5s, I always say I got to put it in a box. So I got specific guidelines that I use. So I'm first going to write off Watchmen because I believe it is a superhero film, but
No, it is.
I took it off this list
Doesn't
because
matter.
it's fucking fantastic.
Doesn't matter if you believe it or not.
It's one of my favorite films of all
is.
time. So, but I'm taking Watchmen.
I literally have not talked about it all night because I thought you would.
You brought it up. You were the one person that brought it up earlier, but
No, I didn't.
I took it out of my whatever.
Great story, great cast, great acting, great soundtrack. If
Watchmen,
it's not on somebody's top 5, I'm gonna freak the fuck out.
Watchmen's next level. That's what I'm saying. So it's not in my top 5, but it's next level.
It would be number...
Literally makes no sense. Whatever. Go on, Justin.
Out of the box.
He's
whatever.
never gonna be on the fucking show again.
My number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Great film.
We'll allow it.
It's fantastic. Fantastic soundtrack.
We won't
Great
cut
story.
you. We won't cut you out of the show this time.
Great actors. Everything about that movie was great.
Yeah,
It was,
great.
and it was such a paradigm shift for superhero films that came out before then.
And it really was. I think Guardians was such a smaller property for Marvel, and they just knocked it out of the park. And a lot of it has to do with James Gunn.
Yeah, James. Yeah, and I'm so glad they got him back for the 3rd movie.
Me too.
Fault that they lost him because they fired him.
It's their fault that they got him back.
Yeah. So
They have nothing in their history that should be ashamed of.
Yeah,
Oh wait,
they were
minute.
actually like, whoa, DC just got him.
Fuck.
We're bringing him back.
We need him back. Yeah, but it's so offbeat compared to the other.
Yeah.
Not only MCU films, but all the other
Superhero
superhero
films, yeah.
films and comic book films and everything else. It's a great movie.
You're number 4.
Oh, we're doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
We're going around.
Like
Is that not your number 5?
Like we have for the last 20 podcasts, Justin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you never listened to the show?
Well, my
It's
number,
been almost a year.
Was that your number 5? Was that
That
your
was
number
my
1?
number 5.
Okay, your number.
Yeah. Well, my
I'm
number-
sorry, people listening in. Goldsmith. This is his first time on the show. Unless you've listened to the show and you know that it's not his first time on the show.
Well, if we're going my number 4, Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. You really do love Val
Batman
Kilmer.
4.
I love Batman Forever. Oh, how very appropriate.
What? Oh, it's 4. Yeah. I was like, it was the 3rd film in that. Anyway,
How many summer shandies has John had?
there's problems with that film, but for the most part, he does a really good job. His car is great.
Yeah. And
He
Joel
does a
Schu-
good job
I-
as Batman.
I love the Joel Schumacher Batman movies for their
Wait
design.
a minute.
For their design.
Oh, yeah, visually, I give you that.
Visually, they are gorgeous. They got like this really super comic
It
book.
reminds me of an arcade machine.
Yeah. Like even out of all the other comic book movies that have been translated to film, Joel Schumacher's movies are gorgeously like purple.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the colors,
The colors.
and everything.
The colors,
they look
yeah.
great.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. What about number 3?
My number 3, Avengers 1.
I have a feeling you're the only one that has Batman Forever on your list at all. I'm just going to throw that out there. But what was number? I'm sorry. What was number 3?
The Avengers.
The first Avengers.
Yeah.
And you see these characters for the first time. It's seriously, even if you're not a big Avengers fan, and I'm not the biggest, but I don't dislike them. But to see them united for the first time fighting, especially when you see them back to back in that street.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
Like when the Avengers came out, there had never been such a build up to a film
Oh, yeah.
ever.
No doubt.
And that was year did that come out 2011
2012.
Yeah, that was so 8 9 10, that was 4 years of build up for a film. We had never seen anything like that before. Like all these
Harry Potter.
5 different well, yeah, not at the time. I don't know, whatever. But it was so great. All these characters came together in this one good fantastic story. The music was fantastic. The whole movie was great.
I will admit, I saw 4 Avengers films, and not once did I see Emma Peel. I kept waiting for her to show up.
Well, there was a fantastic build up with no disappointment.
I wish I could say the same thing about your love life. Number, were we at 3?
2.
Damn it.
Show's going
I
off
may
the rails.
have had a little more to drink than I
I was about to
realized.
say, you were worried about Justin?
Number 2. Give me the deuce.
Number 2. This was a very difficult decision for me. My number 2 was Iron Man.
The first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I know you're a die-hard Iron Man fan. You've got that Iron Man tattoo on your buttocks. And that was your number 2. I'm really excited to see what your number 1 is. But so that was your number 2. So other than being a Robert Downey Jr. fan, what puts that in your top 5? What stands out for you?
Well, the Iron Man movie, it sounds dumb, but that movie really changed my life. It was a turning point for me. I really love that character, Tony Stark. And I never really read the comics growing up, but when I was introduced to the character in that movie, I just really identified with him. I loved it. It's one of the best origin stories that's ever been put on film, and it kicked off the MCU. Shut the fuck up, Drew. It kicked off the MCU.
My time to talk, Drew.
It did.
What's his the guy that played Happy, the director,
Scarlett
John
Johansson.
John Favreau. John Favreau kicked off
Great
the
director.
MCU.
Great director, by the way.
That's where it all started.
Yeah, it's Happy.
This last 11 years of fantastic films.
And he really, first off, it was a great film, but talk about a costume that translated well to film.
Yeah.
The Iron Man armor looks amazing. And a lot of that CG, but a lot of that is actual. I mean, you've seen him in the costume. A lot of that, they built. What a badass costume. And seriously, it did such a good job translating the film. And I would say, as film goes, it's the best costume, period. Batman's my favorite comic book hero. But as far as comics to film, Iron Man's got the best costume, hands down.
I agree.
Dude, it looks phenomenal.
I agree.
So, and Robert Downey Jr. nailed the part. I think he's one of, talk about, when I said earlier, I said, hey, these are the actors like Fassbender, who's like one of the greatest actors of all time, and he's going to go down in history. I think RDJ is one of the people.
He's the best casted character out of any of the comic book
Better
movies.
than Bradley Cooper?
Yeah.
Better than the guy that plays Groot? What's
Vin
that?
Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
And what is your number 1?
My number 1? It really...
Are you running off a high from this film? Because
it's funny that you say that, because
that in a couple
it
days.
I really try not to say that a movie is so great right after I see it, but Avengers Endgame really is just so good. It's the culmination of 11 years of storyline between how many different storylines? What we got?
Yeah, we got
Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow. There's like 20 characters.
Ant-Man, Uncle Man.
It was such a good payoff.
It's an epic film.
Yeah, and that's like we were talking about earlier. One of my favorite things with TV shows when I was a kid was crossover and interlacing storylines and
cross-dressing films,
spin-offs and stuff like that. And when they've got all these different storylines that are interconnected and stuff like that, and it culminates into such a big epic story like this.
Yeah, because the Infinity War didn't have as many characters. I mean, Endgame has everybody.
Yeah.
And you don't realize there are some characters that unfortunately weren't in Infinity War, and they're definitely in Endgame, and then some.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, I'll give you the epicness of the film.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is like there hasn't been a film like this before, and I don't know if there'll ever be a film like this again that has this much build up and it's just literally 11 years worth of film. And
I think
stories.
the only film that could probably top that is that Dora the Explorer film that's coming out. But other than that, I think they've set a bar. So that is a great top 5, and I think Endgame will make other people's list for sure. I think
like
you're
to
on
think
a
so.
high. I think it'd be in your top 5. I don't know if it'd be. Your
I'm on a
number
high
1.
from it, and like I said, I don't like to do that right after I see a movie, but it's just too.
It's an
fucking
enjoyable
good.
film. I'll admit I thought it was a little on the long side. That's only because I drank too much icy and I had to pee so bad I didn't want to miss the film. It's like, get over so I can pee. I almost died. I almost pissed myself in the theater. Talk about pissing yourself in the theater. Robbie.
Yeah.
What are your top 5 in descending order? If I'd love to.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry, ascending.
We've done that before.
Twice. I've got to learn the difference.
John, okay,
your
yeah.
top five.
Yeah, my top five, okay.
If you
Drew,
can narrow,
look at Drew trying to, like...
if you could narrow it down to 5, because I know there's a lot of great comic book films. There's more good than bad. There's a lot of great comic book films. We're talking like in history of comic book films. So that's hard to narrow down to 5. Maybe we should... I'm sorry. Superhero films. Damn it.
So, like, The Incredibles would count, which I give an honorable mention to.
Mouse the movie.
Whoa.
Well, that would be dark. That would win an Oscar, though.
The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four film ever. My number 5 is The Avengers from 2012.
Good choice.
It just did a great job of culminating everything together and making it make sense. And to be honest, that movie's good, even if you haven't seen the others. You know?
Yeah.
The others with...
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that movie have to do with anything?
And like Infinity War, as good as it is, and Endgame, as good as it is, it requires previous viewing. The Avengers actually didn't, and I think it works really, really well. Number 4 is Spider-Man Homecoming.
Ooh.
I absolutely love that movie. It's got a great villain. It's got a great setup. It's got a great cast.
Who plays that villain, by the way?
That's Michael Keaton.
Sir Michael Keaton. Okay, he's not. He hasn't been knighted.
Friend of the show.
My number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh, la
Volume
la.
2.
Oh,
Volume 2.
I know you love 2. I love 2. How can you not like? First off, they're both great films.
Yeah.
But that soundtrack.
Holy
Holy shit.
George
It was
Harrison.
fantastic.
I really didn't think they were
Sir
going to
George Harrison.
be able to hold up to the first film, to be honest with you. And they hit it out of the park. What a great film.
They did, and I actually think that it's got all the best parts of the first one and even more emotion, more drama,
Oh, definitely.
more roundness. I really, really love it. My number 2 is Blade.
I knew Blade was going to make your top 5, you son of a bitch.
I don't know if you guys realize this, but I'm a huge Blade fan. And
they're great films. The
They
first
are.
2 were really, really good.
you know, historically, John, I used to always say that Blade 2 was better than Blade 1. But I recently rewatched Blade 1 and Blade 2, and to be honest with you, everything that Blade 2 does well, it does well because they did it well in Blade 1. Like, that character was defined
Now,
in
was
that
that
first Blade
Del
movie.
Toro that directed those?
He
Did
did
do
the
both
second.
of them. Oh, he did the
Stephen-
second one. Okay.
Stephen Norrington did the first one. But Wesley Snipes, Stephen Dorff, Donald Logue is as Quinn is amazing.
Oh, I thought it was Oscar Isaac.
It's Jason. Anyway, so that's my number 2. My number 1 is Batman Begins, and I think to me,
Holy shit.
yeah, that's the most comic book accurate superhero I've ever seen.
That's
on
my least
film.
favorite of the trilogy. Does
Really,
you know that?
it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Dark Knight is really, really good. Rises. All 3 of them are amazing films. But Batman Begins, to me, with the music, the build-up, the way it took the comic book superhero of Batman and translated that so perfectly into film. Without Batman Begins, obviously, you wouldn't have Dark Knight. And
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have the MCU.
And that
without
gives
film.
us an actual real how Batman starts, because the Keaton Batman film in '89 kind of they flash back, they glance, they give you an idea, but we don't really see his origins per
They
se.
barely tell you shit, don't
Yeah,
they?
Batman
Yeah.
Begins gives you way more detail, and it's got a
Yeah.
great cast, great music.
Yeah, the thing about the Batman by Tim Burton is more of a Joker film, than a Batman film. And Batman Returns is a movie about Penguin
Christmas.
and Catwoman and Christmas. And Batman Forever is a movie about the Riddler. And Batman and Robin is a movie about Dick Grayson and
shitty films.
and Victor Fries. But Batman Begins was the first movie actually about Batman.
Yeah, and it really does go more
Yeah.
into his origin, way more.
And just nailed it for me.
And it had what guarantees a successful film. It had Liam Neeson in it.
Exactly.
That's all you really need, a.k.a. Darkman.
Could have been Timothy Dalton.
Yeah. God damn it.
Also a friend of the show.
That is a great top 5, and I've got money on it that Drew can beat. I know we're not playing. No, there's no. That's a great top 5. Hard one to beat. You guys have had a great top 5, and so I'm really curious to see what Drew says. Your top 5 in ascending order.
Good job. Now, I'm so.
No, you messed it up again. It's descending order.
No,
isn't it?
it's ascending. You
Well, it
start,
depends
You
on-
start at
Oh
5
yeah,
and go
you
to
get
1.
higher.
Well, it
yeah.
depends on what you say in the top and the bottom is.
No,
This isn't a fucking MC
Is
Escher
the bottom the
painting.
lower number
Start
or
with
the
number-
bottom the list?
Okay,
John
at number
should-
5.
John should just be like, as usual.
Okay.
What's
I
your
know
number
we-
5?
What's your number 5?
I can't believe you didn't do Watchmen, and I would tell you that nobody would be happier that you're not including Watchmen as a superhero movie than Alan Moore. You would be-
Right?
There's only
the
actually one.
happiest.
There's only actually one superhero in that movie.
There's a couple, but moving on.
Yeah.
The way that movie is filmed, they are all fucking superheroes.
Yeah. Okay. Number 5, I got Black Panther. I knew from the moment that I heard Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan that movie was going to win awards, and it did. And I was, because I had just seen Creed, and I knew they always worked together. And I was like, I heard they were together again. I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter who they cast as T'Challa. It was like, that's going to win awards. Doesn't matter. And as long as they put the budget into making Wakanda look incredible, it did. And it was incredibly important for a ton of reasons.
I'll be honest with you. I was kind of mad that I went and saw Creed, and I thought it was going to be a Sabretooth film. I was like, what the fuck is this boxing shit?
What?
John was saving that up.
He's been waiting forever to someone mention Creed.
It is a great film, though. I'm happy it made somebody's top 5 because it's a great film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a great cast.
The costume design and the production design of that film are so fantastic.
And Black Panther himself has such a bad... Dude, it translates well to film.
Yeah, a badass suit. You were talking
awesome.
about that. Yeah.
We first saw it in Civil War, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't he first in Civil War?
Yes, yeah.
And it's just fucking awesome. And I was like, is he going to get a solo film? Well, yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked. Yeah. You're number 4.
Number 4, I got Into the Spider-Verse.
Ooh, that's on someone's top 5. Okay.
Another Academy Award-winning film.
Visually, dude, holy shit.
It is my favorite version of Spider-Man, other than the newest PS4 Spider-Man game.
Dude, that is a great game.
Those are my 2 favorite versions of Peter Parker.
I would say that was the best
Parker in general.
Comic-based video game since the Batman...
Arkham games.
It really is. They do such a good job with Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
It's a PS4 exclusive. It's worth buying a PS4 just for that game.
But Into the Spider-Verse, the fact that they could get the variety of different Spider-Man. You got the SP / DR, Penny Parker, and then Nick Cage as Spider-Man Noir, just always depressing and wanting to punch things.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Ham.
John Mulaney,
yeah.
Visually, man, holy shit. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, great Doc Ock. Great, and then the Kingpin being as massive as he was.
Yeah.
Great movie. 3, I have Winter Soldier.
Oh, hell yeah,
Winter
man.
Soldier's fantastic.
It's probably got the best fight scenes in any Marvel movie. And then Sebastian Stan is a Terminator in that movie. Horrifying to watch. And the fact, some of the best chase scenes,
especially when he turns to liquid metal, and escapes.
That's who escaped Civil War, man.
Yeah,
dude, what a great film, man!
And then
holy shit.
2, I have Dark Knight. To me, that was
the best of the trilogy.
I think it was the best of the trilogy, and that was like the first of this era. That was the first big, huge before Avengers, first big, huge event. Like, everybody saw that damn movie. Everybody had an opinion on it. Most of them great. And then, the fact that Heath Ledger died after it was filmed, that's what made it even pumped it up even more. Because people were like, oh my God, I have to see this.
Hot take, Robert Downey Jr. would have won the Oscar for Tropic Thunder if Heath Ledger hadn't died.
No. We're just going to move on.
Out there.
I think he was always
move on.
I think he was always going to lose it. As long as the Joker was nominated, he was losing.
Debatable.
Not. But 1, I have Mask of the Phantasm, my favorite Batman.
Holy shit! I mean, you talked about it earlier. I knew it was gonna be in your top 5. I didn't expect it to be number uno. Number 1.
My favorite Batman is in that movie. My favorite Joker is in that movie.
It's a great storyline, and it's a cool concept with her coming back. And sorry, spoilers, she's the Phantasm.
Yeah, the Phantasm itself is a great character, especially there's little she tries to say, it's like, oh, that's my dad, and then she even's like, oh yeah, he's not around anymore. Don't worry about him. And Mark Hamill's Joker in the park of the future. That whole scene
I love that
is so
fucking park,
so
man.
wild.
The abandoned. Yeah, it's basically what's the
World's Fair?
Yeah, but abandoned version of the World's Fair. I love that.
Yeah, and the fact that it's wildly emotional in the great gothic orchestral score.
Yes.
And he is ready as a young Bruce, he's ready to just give up vigilantism, and he's talking crying to his parents I didn't expect to be happy.
Yeah, you'd expect this girl was not part of the plan.
And that's what Tom King's doing right now.
Yep.
Basically, is Mask of the Phantasm, which coincidentally is the first comic book movie I can think of, superhero movie, that was spoiled by an action figure, which is right behind you. If you took the Phantasm's mask off, it's
Andrea.
Oh my God.
That's funny as hell.
If they didn't have that figure, that would have spoiled the movie.
Yeah, I just rewatched that, but like whenever the Joker starts getting involved, and like when he kills Abe Vigoda, and like the Phantasm discovers dead Abe Vigoda with the smile, like it's a legit like a jump scare. Yeah,
he's married to that lady who's a robot in the theme park. She's like cutting hammers. Like, this is my wife.
Starts a slasher movie.
Yeah, that is such a phenomenal film, and visually it's a treat. And I agree with you. It's probably the best superhero animated film, period. Even including Spider-Man. Spider-Man's still more a visual treat.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's a great film, but visually, it's seriously, man, how the hell they pulled it off. By the way, Sony has made the tools for that like publicly available, so that if other people want to make animated films, it's available to everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. That is nice of Sony to do.
That's also important to point out that it was Sony and not Marvel Studios that did Into the Spider-Verse, which a lot of people are just looping that into MCU now. That was Sony.
Yeah, it is so great. The Sony. I realized that they were like, we want to do what are the bad guys called? What's the Sinister Six? Sinister Six, yeah. We want to do this, and this because we have the properties. And Venom might have been, but Spider-Man A was great. And I know Marvel was involved with that, but Spider-Verse was great. So I think Sony's headed in the right direction. We'll see. We'll see what other properties what they do with it going forward. What's the new Spider-Man called? Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Yeah, looks great. So I'm excited by that.
What about your top 5, John?
So my top 5. My number 5 is a film that some people some people are scared to even put on their top 5, and it's Watchmen.
I wasn't afraid of it. I just took it because you guys and all the listeners that have been listening for a while know how much I love that movie.
Balls to bring it to my top 5.
Good on you.
Yeah.
I just separated it.
Tomorrow we'll go to the store. We'll get you some balls. So that's my number 5. I think it's a great soundtrack. I think it's a great cast. I think it's the best film that Snyder's ever done.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And so I think it's great. So I think some of his stuff is great. Not all of his stuff is hit out of the park, but some stuff he does is a really good job. He's a good teller if he's got a good basis for a story. I think he does a good job. So I love Watchmen.
I put that movie on a pedestal. That's why it's not in my top 5.
Well, so it's like 0?
It's a different, 5 to 1. Yeah,
that's
it's
so
0.
weird. Okay. Number 4 is going to be X-Men Days of Future Past. I really think that it's the best thing Fox has done as far as films, and I really think it's got a great cast. Everybody loves Wolverine, so like, hey, we'll have Wolverine go back instead of Kitty Pryde, and so it just works, man. It ties the cast together. It's so terrifying at the beginning when they're all being slaughtered by the Sentinels, and I just love that film, man. What a great cast, and then of course there's something for everybody in that film. There's action, there's comedy, but most importantly, everybody gets to see Hugh Jackman's ass.
Absolutely.
It's not America's ass.
That's
but
Canada's
it's
Australia's. Yeah.
It's damn close.
Oh, you saw that was in Origins Wolverine too.
You saw his
He ran
ass.
across the
You
field.
do see him run across the field.
We forget about that film.
Yeah, everybody tried to forget about that.
Except for
film.
Sabretooth. He was awesome.
Number 3 is going to be an MCU film, and that's It's Ant-Man. No, I'm kidding. It's Captain America: Winter Soldier, which obviously I knew other people were going to bring up. It's a great cast. Here's a film that I saw the first Captain America. I'm like, this is okay. I didn't hate it. I wasn't blown away by it. But I also wasn't a big Captain America fan as far as the comics go. I like him, but he wasn't one of my favorite Marvel properties. But that changed with Winter Soldier. First off, Sebastian Stan kills with Winter Soldier. Secondly, I really think that it cemented in the movie universe, or in general, Chris Evans is Captain America. It was such a good film. It's such a great cast. Such an enjoyable film. And Winter Soldier is so badass. What a great film. And that, to me, was my favorite MCU film, period. I even enjoyed Endgame, but I think that's my favorite. Number 2, I'm definitely Batman biased. I grew up with, if you've listened to the show before, the first cartoon I was introduced to that was superhero-based was Super Friends, which obviously is a DC cartoon. So I was a big fan of Batman and Robin. That was my favorite when there was Batman and Robin episodes, and they focused on Batman and Robin. So I'm a Batman guy. So Batman Returns is my number 2. And I also point out that I'm biased because Keaton is my favorite actor of all time. So, of course, there's going to be some bias there. You know, if Beetlejuice was a superhero, that would fucking be on it, okay? So, Batman Returns, it is a Christmas film, but you have 2 great bad guys, too. This is one of those films that they had 2 villains, but it didn't feel like it was overdone. There's times when they're like, we need more than one villain in a superhero film, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But this worked well. Catwoman is awesome in it. Penguin is awesome in it. Holy shit, man. Danny DeVito did a great job. And, of course, Batman is reprised the role by Keaton. You got the awesome car again. It's just a great cast. And it's an enjoyable film. And I learned by that film not to eat, what's that stuff that the kiss under the mistletoe. You're not supposed to eat it.
What? Who told you to do that? What did you,
And then my number one is
It's like it's a safety film. Like,
yeah.
John's the only one that's like, oh, somebody had to tell me not to eat mistletoe.
I was going to use it as a garnish.
public service announcement directed solely at
By
John
Tim
Holshoe.
Yeah, by Tim Burton.
Hopefully people listening to the show have helped them out. My number one was going to be Batman, the first Batman, the 1989
What a surprise.
Batman. I'm a big Keaton fan, and you talked about Iron Man changing things for you. Batman did that for me, man. First off, that black costume, you take for granted when you see that costume in the Christian Bale films. He does a good job in the costumes. I like the costume. I enjoy the films. But before that, there wasn't a black costume prior to Keaton. And so seeing it on film for the first time, it was badass. It worked well on film. They did a good job with it on film. That was the first time, too, you're getting that style latex costume. You didn't have superhero films like that prior to that.
Yeah,
It was a badass, and he had that car. That car was super badass. And when I saw it in theaters as a kid. It was a packed theater, and I'm like, holy shit! I didn't know something like that could be done on film. It seriously changed my perception of film in general. And I was already a Keaton fan because of Mr. Mom, because of Gung Ho.
because of Mr. Mom.
Yeah, I like Keaton,
Fuck.
but a lot of people were, and I wasn't one of those people. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he can't be a superhero; he's a comedian." A lot of people were upset by that.
Yeah.
But it worked, man. He did a good job as Bruce Wayne. Now, reading the comics, is he the ideal person to pick for Bruce Wayne? No. Or the Batman? No. But it worked. It worked great in the film. He does a great job in the film. Visually, it's a treat, and I really love him. So I will be honest, I'm biased because I like Michael Keaton. It just changed me because I was at that age. So that just changed my perception of cars, of women, of everything changed when I saw that film. It was a big deal to me at the time. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was. And I was 10 years old, so I was easily influenced by really anything. At 10 years old, you really...
That's very respectable number one choice, and it's really a fantastic number one to end out our list with.
It really changed comic book films in general, because you got the Superman films, which try to be family friendly, but the Batman films, they went in a different direction, and you realized that Batman can be darker. People knew that from the comics, but the regular person, the regular Joe, probably thought of Batman and he thought of the 60s Batman. That's how it was.
Yeah. That movie completely changed what people
Batman,
thought about.
but it also changed how you could do a comic film. You could do a darker comic film. If it wasn't for Batman, we never would have got Blade on film.
Yeah, and it let them know that you could do something different than the comic book.
Yeah, and it was visually just a treat. And that car is still my favorite comic book film car.
Because I know it's controversial to say this, but I like it when they change it from the comic books to the movies, so that it works and so that it's not exactly what we're expecting.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm okay for them to adapt things that say, "Hey, this works better on film." Like the black costume makes more sense if you're hiding in the dark and you're beating up villains.
I was obsessed with that black costume, dude.
Dude, what a badass costume!
Obsessed with that. I was like, that looks so damn cool.
Yeah. Even as a child, though, I was like, why can't he move his head though?
Yeah,
whole torso.
I just wanted to. I was the first Batman to be able to move his head was Christian Bale, and not till his second film.
Adam West could move his head,
and they even changed it.
Yeah, you're right.
When Affleck took over the role, he went back to the same headpiece, so he couldn't move his head. You're back to square one. My favorite costume is the costume.
That's a great number one to end out our lists with.
Absolutely,
because that's that legit is where
the birth,
where
really
we are now started.
Films. It really did.
That was where you're like, oh, we could do more than just Superman.
And it was also the summer of Batman. Remember Batman everything. Shirts, magazines, T-shirts. That was probably the licensing phenomenon that now you see. I mean, seriously, when you went... Endgame was great, but there was Endgame everything. Avengers is on Jell-O, and Endgame is on fucking cereal. Endgame is like 2% off per gallon because of the Avengers. I'm like, what? I'm getting fuel. What does this have to do with... Dude, Avengers, everything. You need to douche? Avengers douche. I'm seriously. There's Avengers. They licensed everything.
And a late addition to the social media is Nick Mastramico, who says Superman. which did kind of like come out before Batman and everything. But even by the third Superman film, they were like, we need Richard Pryor to carry this.
Here's what happened with Superman. Superman was not expected to be as big as it was. It knocked it out of the ballpark, and then they're like, oh man, and they took advantage of the audience. They start cutting the budget. They just milked it.
Yeah.
That's one of those. That's when film companies were like, hey, we're gonna make money off this. Yeah. We're gonna write to the bank, and we're gonna start milking it. And unfortunately, the franchise got worse and worse.
Yeah.
That being said, the third film, or is it the second film? When's the one with the robot thing that transforms the person?
That's 3.
That's terrified the shit out of me as the kid. I watch it now. I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. But it terrified the shit out of me as a kid.
Me too. It was one of that and the Thriller music videos terrified me.
Oh, yeah.
Terrified
me. We had the same terrors as a child.
Yeah,
apparently.
we did. That's why we're friends, because we were scared of the same things.
And E.T., he rolls that ball, and he's like, wait, roll back to me. I'm like, let me go see what that was.
Is that a superhero
I'm like,
film?
why would... No, it's not. But it terrified the shit out of me. Like, when he rolls the ball and it comes back to him, here's what I would do. Go hide or get a goddamn gun. He's like, let me see what rolled that ball back to me. Oh, it's a fucking alien. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Fuck that.
E.T. may not be a superhero film, but it's a nice segue for John to go ahead and tell us what the next episode of PCP is going to be.
It's going to be films that scared the shit out of us. No, it's going to be the great Spielberg. Talk about one of the greatest directors of all time. He first off, he coined or created the summer blockbuster with Jaws. Mm-hmm. And there's been a summer blockbuster since. Most of them, actually, I would say he owns the reign. He's got more of those, Jurassic Park, etc. So we're going to do a whole podcast dedicated to one of the greatest directors of all time, Sir Steven Spielberg. He's not British and not knighted. He might be by the time the show comes out.
It's only his Spanish cousin, Sir Steven Spielberg.
Which is the following episode. So, he does like Jurassic Park knock, like like a low budget Jurassic Park.
I don't recognize 5 of the words you just used.
I'm really looking forward to the next show.
Anyway, we're gonna do Spielberg. We've done directors before. We did one with Ridley Scott, which is up on the website and is on iTunes. Check that out. It's a great episode. Also a great director. But we haven't done Spielberg, who has had more hits than probably any other director. I'm really excited about Spielberg, so we'll talk about his hits and his misses and just his contribution to film. More hits than anything. He really is a really influential director.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to talk about that. Really excited. So we're going to end with our closing thoughts, and then we're going to peace out it here. Robbie, closing thoughts.
Superheroes. Why do they matter? Why do we care, right? Superheroes represent something inside of us. And I know. Everybody knows I'm going to say something Grant Morrison-y right now.
There you go.
But before the bomb it was an idea, right?
Yep.
And Superman is the best idea. The superhero is the best idea. The best idea of what we can be, where we can go. It is the Star Trek of what we're thinking about doing. Like, superheroes are even greater than that. So find your favorite superhero, find out why it's your favorite superhero, and live that life. In fact, what I would do is find your favorite superhero, right? Like Superman, Batman, whatever it is. I wouldn't recommend Batman for this, but think about Superman. For 5 minutes a day, for 1 month, do me a favor. Stand in
a dark room under your house.
Stand in the Superman pose with your hands on your hips and your chest out, and envision yourself as Superman for 5 minutes every day.
Can I do this nude?
Yeah.
Done.
Do it for a month. Let me know how you feel. Superheroes are the ideal of what we can be, so let's be it.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Goldsmith.
Extremely Morrison-y.
Final thoughts before we wrap up the show and send it into the internets for the world to listen to.
To everyone listening right now, I love you 3,000.
Wow, 3,000.
I'm going to cry right now.
It feels like a cop-out.
It's not a cop-out. You saw Endgame?
Yes,
damn,
I saw
guys.
It's an Endgame reference. Drew.
Kind of like what Robbie said. It's like, it's the ideal of what you want to be. Like, you can idolize certain aspects of a character growing up. Like, anybody who is just human thought that they could become Batman if they just had
he has no powers. Anybody
a ton of dedication, ton of time, ton of money. Everyone who saw Superman as on the movies or in the animated series, they ran around with a red cape, red towel.
I had a towel. It was like orangish red, but it worked for me.
I was about to say it's what you view it as, and now kids growing up are gonna have Black Panther and a newer Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, Shazam. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think superhero films are good. There's more good ones than bad ones. It gives us something to look up to. It gives us something to a character embrace. I do like the fact that we're doing female superheroes, black superheroes. There's a lot of great comic book superheroes out there, and I like the diversity. I think there's going to be more and more diversity going forward, and it gives somebody to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when you grow up, you can be Batman or Iron Man. You know, there's sky's the limit, and I think these films are good. I'm happy they're doing well at the box office. I'm happy people are enjoying them. You know, sometimes it's good to embrace that. You know, being a superhero, and if it helps you be a better you, why not? You know what I'm saying? So I love superhero films. So I'm happy. Thanks for tuning in and listen to us rant on about superhero films. We look forward to the next episode. And I'm just going to end with this. Excelsior.